Our main story here tonight is to provide you with a little bit more context on the ever growing debate over renewable energy here in our region. Of course, the battery energy storage units continues to be taking place in Ticonderoga and in many other Adirondack communities. Also, the concerns over solar projects and things like that. So tonight was to do some digging on an attempt to do some digging on why that is. So I asked myself some questions. Privately, I've been asking myself why this push for renewable energy? Why is the power grid so bad? Or why is there an energy shortage here in New York in the first place? The answer, somewhat complex, in the sense that there are, of course, a couple different reasons for that, but not hidden, or not that it's not a straightforward answer. What it appears to be is that, broadly speaking, New York, aside from any aging systems which were cited, that in the push for renewable energy or climate friendly sources, the so called green source, and things like that, was a forced or a quick shutdown of traditional power sources, which would, of traditional power plants, is how it was phrased, the older system. And that changeover basically happened when the infrastructure for the new was not in place. That would be the surface level explanation. That's the basic way that I understand it. But let me dig a little deeper here. So, according to an NBC News affiliate in Albany, this article came out of the Albany region. There was a report released recently from the New York Independent Systems Operator, indicating, of course, that right now that these factors include aging plants, extreme weather, and data centers. And I had been doing a little bit of reading on data centers, of course, to stay informed for future news stories. But I had not said anything here yet because I have not finished that reading yet. But Time Magazine had a feature article in a recent edition talking about how much power and energy a data center will use. And in one case that was not close to our area, but it was in Europe. They can, or in general, but they cited many cases in Europe in the article. They can take as much power as the entire nation of France combined. So that's the entire nation of France, and it looks like they use more power than that. That was from Time Magazine's feature article, and it is out on newsstands. For those of you in the area, it is actually at Walmart right now, if that's something you're interested in reading. It's interesting to note, this same article, that along with to solve this problem, so of the increased demand, the infrastructure problem, things like that, Hochul announced a plan, our glorious governor, to generate around 1 gigawatt of new nuclear power. And she wanted to put it in upstate New York. I guarantee you it will not be anywhere near Albany, because of the fact that academic studies, such as the one done by Stanford University, found that the smaller reactors that this new nuclear process uses is more prone to leaking than traditional nuclear reactors. It's new technology. That's the problem with most of what the research has indicated for the solar panels that we have mentioned here, the BESS project. It's new technology that is not ready to be deployed in mass like this. The Alliance for a Nuclear Free New York has sent a letter to the New York State Comptroller, Tom DiNapoli, requesting a 2.5 year moratorium on new nuclear projects in New York State. The Alliance rep called it the most expensive form of energy, and citing not only the environmental uh, issues with it, but also the financial costs in building and maintaining it. So there is that side of it as well. That article from ABC News had noted, that ABC News affiliate noted that solar power, to be more specific there, right now is at about 29%, meeting about 29% of the entire state demand. Obviously, with costs there. One of them being the amount of land those things take up, among other things, as we've noted, and you can go back and watch the footage. Now, this debate is why the Republican candidate or GOP candidate, remember those are both the same political party. That's why Bruce Blakeman, the Republican candidate, wants to lift the hydrofracking ban in New York State, put in place as far back as 2008, as I could tell, but solidified under Andrew Cuomo, who I thought was on definitely in the same ballpark as Kathy Hochul, although she's proven to be far, far worse. The hydrofracking issue is, of course, being touted as as an alternative to the green energy. Many in the southern tier of New York State have been calling for it because it would not only it would bring them some economic benefits, and they have seen some of what they perceive as its successes right across the border in Pennsylvania down there. The Environmental Protection Agency has found that different parts of that process can damage the cycle. That's the water cycle. Remember, you have a watershed and with your in the ground, and that hydrofracking is basically shooting water into the ground to break up rock, sediment, and things like that to get the oil underneath and things like that. The EPA study didn't seem to have a concrete, specific example. That would be what we would call a case study in there. However, there were other reports from local news outlets downstate in Allegheny County and elsewhere, noting that in Pennsylvania, around at least 100 or so well water, water had to be tested because of the fracking, and there were issues down there. So whether that is the best solution for this problem, that I do not know, and I would be willing to bet that there's some debate over that as well. The problem is that, again, there very well may not be, or quite frankly, there is not, to put it bluntly and clearly for you, there is no real alternative to fossil fuels at this point in time. And the media and the Democrats, the left, and I hate to say it, put it in political terms like that, but those, or to put it this way, those who advocate for that have misled you. And we are seeing the fallout and the proof of that in real time and in practice right now. That being